Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 2024 Annual General Meeting of the Lake of the Woods District Stewardship Association. We're so glad that you're able to join us this evening. Tonight is a celebration. It's a celebration of our successes in 2023 and to date in 2024. We look very forward to launching our summer programming, and we will share those with you throughout the evening. My name is Garth Collier, and I'm president of Lake of the Woods District Stewardship Association. Before we get started, I will run through a few technical matters. We have a lot of people joining us on this webinar, so we've muted participant lines to minimize any noisy disruptions. If you'd like to ask a question, please use the Q&A tab on your screen. We will do our best to answer these questions during the question and answer session. Later in the meeting, a voting ballot will appear on your screen for all resolutions to be presented at this meeting. You will be able to vote for or against the resolution by clicking the appropriate button on the screen. If you have a question regarding a specific motion, please click the raise your hand icon on the bottom of your screen when the presenter calls for questions. Please note there's only one vote per membership. If you experience any issues, you can email us at alina@lowdsa.com or call us at 204-396-1014. Once again, call or text at 204-396-1014. Although we meet virtually this evening, the Lake of the Woods District Stewardship Association would like to acknowledge the land and waters of Treaties 1 and 3 as the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Cree, and the Métis peoples. This is the predominant land form which we call in from this evening. Specifically, we would like to share our respect for our land and the water, the Grand Council Treaty 3 territory, which encompasses the Lake of the Woods area, at least from Thunder Bay back to the Manitoba border. This land and the waters hold cultural significance to the Anishinaabe, Cree, and Métis people, and in acknowledgement of our shared history, we continue to reaffirm our responsibilities for improving relationships through the protection and stewardship of the land and water. And next, we will look at whether or not we meet the quorum requirements for our meeting tonight. The quorum is 25, and I believe we have confirmed that we have at least 25 members joining us this evening. We therefore have a quorum. Please note that this meeting is being recorded. It is my pleasure to now call this meeting to order, and here is the agenda for the meeting. Won't read that to you, but you can glance through it. We have a pretty tight schedule, and each committee report will be very efficient, so we shouldn't take too much of your time tonight. If I could get the mission and vision slide back on, I'd just like to review that quickly. Sorry, I was out of order. Thank you. If you quickly look at the mission and vision statements, you will see that our values are environmental stewardship, community relationships, education, communication, and membership. Our vision of the Lake of the Woods is to have it remain one of the most beautiful places on earth for the present and future generations to enjoy. Lastly, our mission, the Lake of the Woods District Stewardship Association, engages and educates for environmental sustainability in the Lake of the Woods region. You will see how the mission and vision fits into and is applied to all of our initiatives as we work our way through the meeting's agenda. Now that we've established a quorum, we have come to the business portion of our meeting. All members receive notice of this meeting, either via social media or through the spring edition of the Area News. Copies of the final 2023 audited statements will be posted on the Lowdsa website in the near future. The financial statements is not finalized yet. That will be discussed more fully during our financial committee report. The minutes of the 2023 meeting have been posted and are available online as well. In the interest of time, we have asked specific board members to move and second the resolutions to be presented this evening. The following resolution is moved by Jackie Lowe and seconded by Trevor Templeton. Be it resolved that the minutes from the 2023 annual general meeting of Lowdsa be approved. If you have a question regarding this motion, please click the raise your hand icon at the bottom of your screen. If there are no questions, the text of this motion will now be on your screen. Seems we have a technical difficulty. Just wait another few seconds. In the past few years since COVID, we relied on Zoom and we switched over to Teams now, and there's a few speed bumps. Apparently was launched. I apologize. So please vote now if you haven't already. There's one question. Okay, I don't have access to those questions. If somebody at Mission Control can relay those questions to me, it may be that they don't have that on their screen. It's coming through on some, but I don't know. No. So has the motion passed? Yeah, I'm not getting any information, but I'm going to proceed and we'll come back to this. I'd like to begin with my president's report. We've all heard the phrase that change is constant. At Lowdsa, not only are we welcoming a change in our staffing, but we are also replacing our website and membership platform. These changes are of great significance as they both be a fresh and modern new look, more user-friendly model for our members. However, though, they will come at a cost, which will be reflected in an increase in membership fees. The board has not yet decided what would be relevant raise in membership fees, but we are meeting in a week's time to review some of the factors. You will learn more about that in the membership committee report. We're also very excited to introduce our Lowdsa staff, Bree McCardle and Alina Collier. Bree is our new executive director who joined Lowdsa in 2019 as a Lake Smart intern. Over the last few summers, Bree became the environment program coordinator and then last year's environment program manager. Bree is a recent graduate of Niagara College's environment technician program. Her studies integrated biology, chemistry, and civil engineering. Her focus was on wetlands, waters, and natural habitats. Bree was born and raised in Kenora, attending French immersion at St. Thomas Aquinas School. Welcome, Bree, and thank you for bringing all your expertise to Lowdsa. Alina is our new assistant executive director, and you may have met her before in another capacity. She's been with Lowdsa for the past 2 years, when she began as our marketing and communication coordinator intern. She is a graduate of Communications and Media from Providence University College, where she was also captain of her basketball team. From this, she learned the valuable lessons of teamwork. Alina grew up at the family cottage on Otter Lake, where her passion for the lake environment and its four seasons became a central part of her life. She is an avid photographer and documents the beauty of lake life through the camera lens. Alina does a great job in managing our social media and membership duties. I'd also like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the professional contributions of Jackie Lowe. Jackie Lowe has been a board member for the last 2 years, and she has given notice that she will not be standing for re-election for a further term. Board of Directors would like to thank Jackie for her very important contributions to Lowdsa. Jackie was instrumental in helping us refine our business plan, and that personally I am very appreciative of. Jackie, your expertise has been instrumental in helping us build a stronger, more efficient association. Fortunately for us, you have offered to continue sharing your expertise in a less formal capacity. We look forward to continuing our conversations with you. The next topic in my president's report is highway twinning. We received some substantial information earlier this week from the Ministry of Transport. It was shared with us that there will be an upcoming public information session during the first week of July. They haven't given us the day. It definitely will not be on a weekend. I'm guessing it might be Thursday, but I don't know. And as soon as we find out, we will get that out via social media and any way we can. They will also advertise it in the newspaper and on the Kenora radio stations. I want you to know too that this meeting will focus only on section 2, which runs from Shoal Lake to Rush Bay Road at a distance of 8.5 kilometers. Section 3 will not be discussed, nor has there been any decisions made on that. They are very understanding and sympathetic of the concerns of the stakeholders, and will do everything they can to make sure that the decisions are shared in a timely manner, and that the ultimate choice that's made for the route will be good for everyone. Under forestry, I sit on the Local Citizens Committee. We have not met since February, and at that particular meeting, the annual plans for the Kenora and the Whiskey Jack forests were presented. Those are online. I'm sure those of you who would like to access that, you just go to the Ministry of Natural Resources Forestry. You have to the end of the year. It opened March 15th, so you have a year from that date to take a look at it. I hate to use these words. Fortunately, I think the forestry has moved a little north. In the Kenora Forest, it's up in the White Dog area, and the Whiskey Jack is kind of down on the Allno Peninsula in that area. So it's taken the pressure off of Clearwater Bay and the concerns that people had in the areas surrounding Kenora. Boating, just some updates. Now that the ice is out and the lakes are open, we are advised that everybody who drives the boat needs a pleasure operator's card. That can be obtained by taking the course directly or by doing it online. Additionally, the discussion around mandatory wearing usage of a personal flotation device, it's still being considered by Transport Canada. So you still do not have to wear a personal flotation device. However, you do need one in the boat for each person. We recommend that you wear it. It's not an onerous responsibility at all. But they plan to meet sometime during the summer, and as soon as we get any more specific information, we'll get that to you. Shoreline preservation. Nutrient pollution is a key challenge to the lakes in the region. Because algal blooms occur where excess nutrients build up in our lakes, it's important to help mitigate nutrient loading by maintaining a healthy shoreline. Debbie's Greenhouse, just north of the bypass on the Reddit Road, recommend a variety of species that are suitable for shoreline preservation. Some examples are junipers, white spruce, white pine, Carl Forster grasses, and other perennial grasses. Don't put your glasses in there, they don't grow well. Joe Pye weed, catmint, baby's breath, Virginia creeper vine, etc. They also have a variety of non-native species that are appropriate. When you plant trees and shrubs and grasses, not only do you strengthen, but you also beautify your shorelines. It also means less work for you. So start a shoreline preservation project, get the neighbors involved of the lake, embrace the science. Nothing could be more important to the health of our lake. My last topic is invasive species. One of the greatest threats to the health of our lakes is invasive species. A recent study indicated that there are at least 17 invasive species that have the potential to do serious damage to our immediate environment. With the banning of watercraft in our Western national parks and at Riding Mountain National Park in Manitoba, we too need to take these environmental perils very seriously. Right now, all we have to remind us of the need to clean, drain, and dry is a billboard on the side of the highway on the way to Winnipeg. We have written letters to both the Manitoba and Ontario Natural Resources Ministries to ask that serious consideration be given to erecting a permanent boat wash station at the border. Saskatchewan, Alberta, and BC are very strict about watercraft entering their jurisdictions, so why aren't we? If you stop to consider the volume of boats and other watercraft that are being transported between northwestern Ontario, the Whiteshell, and beyond, we are more than vulnerable. This doesn't factor in the boats that cross borders by water. Later, you'll hear more about our Lake Smart team, but one of their important responsibilities is to provide boaters with access to our mobile boat wash service. Please take advantage of this valuable opportunity. The Lake Smart team is also available to provide dock talks and also to serve as an environmental resource in other ways. At this time, we're ready to begin our executive director's report.
Hi, everyone. It is an honor to sit with you all in my new role as executive director. It's been a pretty busy transition, but I'm loving the new responsibilities and the opportunity to work and grow with such an impactful association. As Garth mentioned, I've been here for multiple years in a variety of positions, and I believe that I have a good understanding of what our members and the public expect. So my goal this year is to go beyond those expectations, starting off with this summer's Lake Smart team. We are delighted to introduce a dynamic team of ambitious young women for the upcoming 2024 season, comprising both university students and notably the first high school student ever to join our staff. All members are from the Kenora area, bound by childhood friendships that foster a strong sense of camaraderie. Their energy, creativity, and passion are truly inspiring, driving a commitment to innovation and making a significant impact in the Lake of the Woods area. Returning to the association are Amelia Mastro-Mateo and Tessa Penner, and joining us this year are Cass Wagner, Ashley Bogreg, and Anira Olson. Mimi will be the first ever Lake Smart lead as a returning student that excels in planning and management. Tessa and Anira will be joining us later this season in June when school is out, as Tessa is following her dream of becoming a teacher and Anira is our first ever high school student. On behalf of Lowdsa staff and directors, welcome aboard. And to our members, I'm really excited for you to meet this pretty amazing team. With that being said, our first event of the summer is about to kick off this weekend. Seedling Pickup Day is May 18th, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. If you're looking to create lasting memories with your family at your home or cottage, why not plant some trees together? We have some red and white pine trees available for purchase online and to be picked up this weekend or next, depending on your locations. Over the years, Lowdsa has spearheaded the planting of over 330,000 trees. By purchasing our seedlings, you're not only buying a tree, but you're also supporting Lowdsa and a sustainable future. And if you're like me and you're all treed out at your place, we would still love to see you for a chat to help us kick off the summer properly. We are so thankful for your support in our programs like Lake Smart and Seedling Day. And if you are able, we do have an environmental initiatives and special project fund where your donations have a significant impact on our work for lake life and sustainability. Your contributions help fund initiatives like the beetle release biocontrol for aquatic invasive species, conservation projects, educational projects, and community outreach efforts. The cost of maintaining our programs and services cannot be covered by membership fees alone. And while we have been successful in securing sponsorships and funding, that funding does not quite fill the gap that we know is variable from year to year. The strength of our association comes from the commitment and support of you, our members. And if you're interested in donating at all, you can go to our website and click the membership tab and you will see EISP at the bottom. Finally, a big thank you to our volunteer board of directors, our committee members, and of course our membership for allowing us to do the work we do. I appreciate you all, and I look forward to seeing you around town or on the water this summer.
Thank you very much, Bree. Well said, and we really appreciate your efforts in recruiting some of the best talent around for the Lake Smart team. Our next item will be to move to committee reports. We have Jeff Rempel, one of our co-treasurers, who will now present the 2023 unaudited financial statements.
Thank you, Garth. As Garth just said, our auditors, BDO Canada LLP, have not yet completed their audit of the 2023 financial statements of the association, and therefore tonight's presentation will be of the draft unaudited 2023 financial statements. As Garth mentioned earlier on the call, copies of the complete audited financial statements will be posted on the Lowdsa website and available by email upon request upon the completion of the audit, which we anticipate will be in the next couple of weeks. Here are a couple highlights, though, of 2023. So we ended 2023 with a deficit of approximately $27,000, which was largely driven by additional operating expenses during the year. On the following slides, I'll get into a couple details here. On the next slide, from a revenue perspective, our 2023 budget was based on expected revenues of $286,000. Actual revenue at the bottom there, totaling $300,000, was above budget by approximately $14,000. The significant deviations from budget in 2023 included interest income, which was primarily the loan forgiveness that we had from the COVID loan that we took a couple years ago, as well as Lake Smart program sponsorships that were not realized and various grants that were not realized as well, but again, slightly above budget. On the following slide, from an expense perspective, overall, our 2023 expenses of approximately $328,000 were above the prior year due to additional operating expenses, which had been budgeted for during the year, and those came to fruition. On the following slide is the statement of financial position for Lowdsa. Lowdsa continues to maintain a strong cash position. We do continue to invest in short-term GICs to generate a small amount of interest income on an annual basis. The other item of note here is that as these are the unaudited statements being presented, the operating reserve and EISP transfers have not yet taken place, but those adjustments will be reflected in the final audited financial statements. If you have a question regarding these financial statements, please raise your hand, and we'll pause to see if there are any questions on these draft unaudited financial statements. Hearing or seeing none, thanks for your attention. I'll now pass it over to Carly Fike, our other co-treasurer, to present the motion to appoint auditors.
Thank you, Jeff. So it is recommended that BDO Canada LLP Chartered Accountants be reappointed as auditors for the 2024 fiscal year. This resolution has been moved by Garth Collier and seconded by Chris Semenchuk. So I therefore move that BDO Canada LLP Chartered Accountants be reappointed as auditors of this association for the 2024 fiscal year. The text of the resolution is on your screen. If you have a question regarding this motion, please click the raise hand icon on the bottom of your screen. If there are no questions, please vote now. Hopefully it works. All right, so we will assume that the motion has passed. If not, we will circle back to this after. Please exit from the voting poll. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jeff and Carly. Your great work is appreciated by the members and also by the board. Your expertise is unparalleled. I'd now like to call on the chairs of our standing committees to present their reports on their activities during the past year and plans for the coming year. Madam Blake, the chair of the Membership and Communications Committee, will present the first of these reports. Once again, if you have any questions regarding these reports, please use the Q&A tab on your screen. We will do our best to answer these questions during the question and answer session later in the meeting. Madam Blake.
Hey, thank you, Garth. Lowdsa is the largest association of its kind in Ontario, servicing cottagers, permanent residents, and visitors in the area. Our primary goal is to engage and educate for environmental sustainability in the Lake of the Woods region. When you think of Lowdsa, one major aspect that our members enjoy and benefit from is receiving the area news to keep them informed on the happenings of the area and to educate themselves on current issues. It's also just a great way to think about the lake when you're not there. However, Lowdsa is involved in much more, and if you're tuned into our social media channels, you may be aware, but we have several pillars we are highly involved in. One of the more familiar ones might be a Lake Smart program, as mentioned. The team and program is governed by our environmental committee, and this is made up of volunteer board members, Lowdsa members, and staff, comprising of experts in different fields from water quality, the M&R, and other non-for-profit environmental groups. The Lake Smart team itself is comprised of mainly summer students who are out on the Lake of the Woods and surrounding lakes in the summer, conducting shoreline cleanups, dog visits to educate on water quality practices. They're doing boat washes to prevent invasive species and much more. We also have a government affairs committee. This is a volunteer group of diversely skilled professionals made of people experienced in municipal affairs to lawyers. This group stays on the pulse of ongoing activities that matter to our members, including forestry, hydro rates, taxes, highway twinning, and many more, so that Lowdsa can bring our members the most current information in these areas. Lowdsa is also highly involved in outreach in the community. Lowdsa is a member of and participates in many different interest groups, such as the Rainy Lake of the Woods Watershed Forum, GCT3 National Environment Gathering, local youth programming, maybe walk and water ceremonies, and we also sit on and are active on the Sustainability Advisory Committee in Kenora. Lowdsa is engaged and involved in the community from smaller lakes north of Lake of the Woods, west, or all the way down to the Rainy River. We engage with smaller lake associates to partner in education. For example, we've worked with Malachi cottagers in shoreline erosion, as that was a challenge that was important to them. And we're beginning to work with the Moth Lake Association. So I'd ask if any smaller lake or lake associations would like Lake Smart to visit. We have done and can make personalized presentations depending on the lake challenges and needs. So please reach out to us if you'd like a visit from our Lake Smart team. Last June, Lowdsa also held the Celebrate Lake Life event held in Kenora Harborfront, where we served lunch to the community, provided a venue to interact with our community, and educate on lake matters. Although Lowdsa is able to function with many hours of volunteer service from the board, committee members, Lowdsa members, and businesses who help participate and give their time and resources, we also have many costs to operate the association, including staff, overhead, attendance of related seminars and events, similar expenses as any business would have. And although we do receive some grants, the vast majority of our funding derives from the member fees. These member fees go to produce and distribute the area news, which members receive, but also all the many programs and work the association does, I mentioned earlier. So we've all seen in the past few years, our costs have increased too. So in order to continue our engagement, operations, and efforts, we will be increasing our annual fee, which will start to take place this fall. Also new in 2024 is the IISD ELA tours. If you're not sure what that means, it's the International Institute of Sustainable Development Experimental Lakes area, or the Experimental Lakes. We've got 2 tours this summer. The first is August 8th, leaving from Kenora at the Rec Center at 8 a.m. And then the second is leaving from Sioux Narrows, Nestor Falls at the Sport and Fishing Center, also at 8 a.m. That's on August 19th. Price for members is just $40, includes transportation, $45 for non-members. And if you'd like to reserve your spot for either of those, please email us at communications@lowdsa.com, call us, or visit our website. Also, don't forget to stay tuned for many of our yearly activities, such as Seedling Days and Metal Waste Days. We've got some goals for 2024. One is surrounding a billboard on the highway west of Kenora. This would be to help raise awareness for Lowdsa and connect people to our environmental initiatives. We're also working on a potentially new website, and the idea there is just greater efficiency and to promote better membership communication. On our social media, if we go to the next slide, if you're not already aware, we are on social media. We're on all the major platforms such as Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and please, if you haven't seen us, this is a great way to stay tuned with all our events and what we're doing. Please follow us, invite your friends, neighbors to follow us. It's probably the most current information you can get. And we also run a lot of fun contests where you can win great Lowdsa prizes. So we have Refer a Friend, where you can refer a new member and get prizes, or photo contests. So please check us out at those. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Adam. I'd like the members to know that Adam has been our stalwart chair of the membership committee for the last few years, and he is now moving to chair the environment committee. So that's very exciting. Wanda Cable from Sioux Narrows has been taking over and learning from Adam in a training way, and she will be the new membership chair for the future. Next, I'd like to present Don Parfit, the chair of our Government Affairs Committee. He will also share the spotlight in Government Affairs with Mona Brown, who will make a brief presentation on the capital gains tax proposition that has hit the news lately. So Don?
Thank you, President Garth, and welcome members. The committee is noted on your screen in front of you. We decided to put on there this year the role of our committee, which is to inform and educate our members on matters that we are aware of or that we're made aware of that are important to our members. The committee members are Barry Baldeson, Mona Brown, Garth Collier, Bob Stewart, Nancy Selman-Jarvie, 2 past presidents of the association, the current president of the association, a lawyer, and a former editor of our local newspaper. And we have said historically, and we always extend this invitation, if there are any members out there that are interested in coming on our committee, by all means get a hold of Bree and the association, and we encourage people to come forth and get involved in these things. So we have slip to the next slide then. So our key issues, they come and they go. I think if you recall last year, we had for a couple of years actually the hydro rate increases. Bob Stewart followed that very clearly and informed all our members as to what was happening there and the impact it was going to have on them. That's pretty well done now, so we've dropped it. The fishery changes on Lake of the Woods came into effect on January, as you recall, that was on there. So we've got a few key issues here that we deal with, and we basically talk about them or anything new comes on, and you'll see number 6 there in a minute. But our president already talked about the Trans-Canada Highway and indicate he had an update. The last couple of years have been very difficult for our association to deal with any of the ministry people. pre-COVID, etc. They're very difficult to get responses from. And as you recall, they've said now they're going to have this open house in July. Well, it was originally scheduled for March, if I recall. And that is to present the preferred second route, which then means an environmental impact before it even goes to tender. So as much as you read in the paper, highway construction starting tomorrow on the second phase, that isn't about to happen. I think that more realistically will be in 2025. On the existing one now, they had the highway closed to put a big culvert in right at the Manitoba-Ontario border the other day, and they're finishing off the little section from the Ontario Tourism Center to hook up to the dual lanes on the sides of the truck stop. So that seems to be progressing well, and it looks like they'll be switching over to that new section. I would think in the next couple months. Then the other one will go on hold until they're ready to move. We have encouraged, just to take off what the president said and talking directly to them, is that we have encouraged the ministry to, in the fall, when they have a meeting in Kenora, and all our members basically are in Manitoba or to the west of us or other places, we've encouraged them to either have Zoom meetings and or maybe even have open houses in Winnipeg. Hopefully we'll do something this summer, but we stay on them with that one. I don't know where it'll go. Forestry management on there, that's a constant. The ministry has just a couple of comments. They have a 10-year plan and they have an annual work plan. And we'd simply encourage our members to take a look at it and see if your area is affected. There's nothing worse than management by crisis. When somebody found out that their backyard got cut yesterday, it's usually documented. And if there are some concerns, and there have been in many areas, the ministry will take a look at them. And I think if you look back over the last few years, you'll see that they've been very supportive and or attentive to concerns, and they've adjusted their plans accordingly. So please take a look at those plans on your own behalf to see where they're going to be, and that'll save everybody a whole bunch of grief. Nuclear waste, we've seen a lot of that going on. And I think, again, as everybody's aware, there are 2 communities in Ontario that are looking at hosting these. One is an area northeast of Ignace, and the other one is down in Bruce County, down in the southern part of Ontario. You've heard a lot of people express opposition to it. We've had many articles in. We put out. They've had open houses. They have had some people go over to Europe to take a look at what's going on. But on April 30th, I think it was April 26th to April 30th, the people of Ignace voted whether they're willing to consider hosting that site. They have employed a consultant who will report back to Ignace Council, I believe, by the 30th of June. So they're saying that by July, we'll know whether Ignace has any interest at all. And I think they're not sharing that with anybody right now. There's been some real controversy over it, but that'll hit us here in a month or two, and then we'll determine where that's going on a go forward basis. Water levels constant. We have a link directly to Lake of the Woods Control Board. They're low this year. There's not much water coming out of the bush. I'm on the Winnipeg River right below Norman Dam. We're lower than we've been in years. They opened the dam on last Friday and Monday again to let a couple inches out of the lake. And so I don't know if anybody truly understands all that science. And if you do, maybe you can tell us what it's all about. But there is a link. If you have direct interest, you can take a look at any time. And we have a lot of people that pay attention to that. So that's our only comment on that. Internet access, what we call the unorganized territory up here. We were informed that they now have 4 of 17 Indigenous communities in the Grand Council Treaty 3 area that are now hooked up. I believe their numbers were something like 3,500 people and businesses affected, including 2,000 Indigenous. So they've made a start on it. The 4 communities, there's only one near us, and that's Wajishkanigam, which is Rat Portage, south east of Kenora. The other 3 First Nations communities are down in Perot Falls, Devlin, and there's a third in Fort Francis area. So they're dealing with Northwestern Ontario, but it looks like they're expanding it. The pressure's still on. So we stay on top of that to try and encourage them to keep going. The sixth one was the 24 federal budget capital gains tax. There's two things that are certain: life, death, and taxes. And the Federation of Municipality or Federation of Cottage Owners Association put out an article that a newspaper editor, a newspaper reporter had written that seemed to have everybody in panic down in the Mississauga area. So on that note, Mona Brown is a lawyer with PFK Lawyers in Winnipeg, or PKF, I'm sorry, Mona, I apologize, PKF Lawyers in Winnipeg. And Mona is very familiar with this topic, and she's put on presentations before to our members. So Mona's going to come on here for a couple minutes and do a little brief. And then at the end of the meeting, we're going to have a question and answer on that particular topic. For those that you don't know, I spent 45 years in public accounting. Through the changes of these taxes, I think this is the fifth change to capital gains since 1972. We started out at 50%, went to 66, then we went to 75, then we went back to 66, and then went back to 50, and now we're going back to 66. So that just sets a little background as to how much that has changed over the years. So Mona is going to come in now and just give us a little briefing on what she's done, and she's done an article on it. Mona?
While we're waiting for Mona, thank you, Don. There's some.
There she is. We got her. Okay.
Hi. Thanks, Don. Yes, Don correctly says that capital gains has always had special privileges as opposed to normal income. It's always been at a reduced rate. The question is, how much is the reduced rate? So the budget in 2024 last month changed the rate, proposes to change the rate from 50% inclusion to 66 2/3 effective June 25th. So that is for corporations, trusts, and individuals if their gain individually exceeds 250,000. So they're giving the first 250,000 as kind of, you get that at the 50% inclusion rate, and only if you're more wealthy do you get to pay at the higher rate for individuals. So the first question is this going to be per year? And if we look at what happened in 1990, when it went from 50 to 75% taxable, and again in 2000 when it went back, both times they made any changes per annum. So we do think that this is going to be a per annum, what we call safe harbor, a safe zone where you can have 250 per person. So if we have a couple who own a cottage jointly in their names, the two of them together have 500,000 of safe harbor. So let's just say you had $1 million of capital gain, taxable capital gain, then you could, for instance, gift 1/2 interest in the cottage to your children in 1 year. That's a deemed sale. And you'd each have your 250 at the lower inclusion rate. And then you could gift the other 1/2 interest the following year. And you could accomplish all of the above and the transfer without paying at a higher tax rate. This is just one example to show that there are methods to plan. There's ability to plan if you consult your professional advisors and do that planning. So you have to think about what capital gain is. Capital gain is the selling price or fair market value on a deemed sale if you're gifting to a family member, minus your original purchase price and your capital additions. Please don't forget to keep your receipts. So who is most affected? Individuals who hold a cottage in their names until death. Those people are for certain going to be significantly affected, because in your year of death, you are generally deemed to dispose of all your income at fair market value. And you also have a higher marginal rate in your year of death normally. because you have the collapse of your RIFs or RRSPs, other income coming in from maybe your portfolio. And so it is usually a high tax year. It is now going to be a much higher tax year. Corporations and trusts are also going to pay at the higher rate immediately. There is no safe harbor for corporations and trusts. So we know that the losers are trust corporations and year of death tax returns. So our advice to you is don't panic, but consult your professionals knowledgeable in tax to know your options and know whether it's better for you to do something before June 25th or whether you have time to plan afterwards. Planning with good advice and doing your due diligence will always be the best policy. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Mona. Any more from you, Don? Well, I'd just like
Done.
to say thanks.
Done. Done. Sorry, Garth. Done.
Oh, that's fine. Thank you, Don, and thank you, Mona. Your expertise too is really appreciated. The government affairs meeting, and not to be disrespectful, other committees has access to some pretty interesting topics, and as Don has suggested and recommended, join in and sit in on the meetings. It's a great learning experience. But thank you. Next on our agenda is Chris Semenchuk, who is the chair of our nominating committee, and she will now introduce the person nominated as a new director.
Are we going to?
I'm out of order. I apologize.
Over to you, Bree.
That's right.
Thanks, Chris.
All good.
Just so everyone knows, we will have a question and answer period at the end. So if anyone has any questions about any of the government affairs topics or the capital tax gains, you will have a chance to ask Mona or Dawn about those topics after. Okay, Environment Committee. So the Environment Committee discusses and prioritizes environmental concerns, and then the Lakesmart team and Lowdsa addresses it. The committee has a broad mandate encompassing 3 primary objectives. The first one is to educate our membership, allowing them to make informed decisions, minimizing human impact on their properties and in their communities. The second one is to support research and mitigation efforts related to environmental issues affecting the Lake of the Woods district. And then third, to ensure that Lowdsa and its members are recognized as important stakeholders in relation to initiatives affecting the natural environment in the region. So in 2023, I chaired the Environment Committee as the lovely Chelsea Lobson became a new mom. And then for this year, as Garth announced earlier, Adam Blake is the new chair. He is a very committed board member, as you will see. He's very involved in all that Lowdsa has going on. And the committee in 2023 consists of the names seen on screen. And I would like to just acknowledge 2 long-standing members that are taking a well-deserved step back. Jerry Beveridge and David Hewlett were active members representing the Lowdsa Environment Committee for many years. Jerry's family participated in the initial years of water clarity testing in Lobstick Bay, and she volunteered at local water conservation events around Kenora. During those earlier years, they both volunteered at the annual Cottage Show, attended Rainy River Watershed Forums, as well as events hosted by Lowdsa, the Water Sustainability Foundation, and Experimental Lakes area. Jerry and David, we truly appreciate your commitment and your support. We are sad to see you go, but we will carry your passion for water protection and stewardship with us in our committee meetings. We wish you all the best in your next adventures. So, environmental highlights of 2023. Last season was a tremendous season full of activity and accomplishments for the Lakesmart team. Kicking it off with a highly successful seedling pickup day in May. We nearly sold out of all of our seedlings during pre-sales, setting a positive tone for the months ahead. A major focus was enhancing youth engagement, notably through our school programming, which reached several classrooms. We provided engaging opportunities for students in 3 different elementary schools to connect with nature and learn about environmental stewardship. We delivered presentations both in English and French, which was pretty cool for our LakeSmart team, on topics like the water cycle, environmental impacts, filtration systems, invasive species, enriching students' understanding of their ecological responsibilities. As the season progressed, we continued our established programs, including the boat wash stations, dock talks, and participation in locals farmers markets. Our boat wash station operated twice weekly and washed more boats than ever, reflecting our dedication to preventing the spread of invasive species. Dock talks last year were focused in Clearwater and Big Stone Bay, offering a unique opportunity to engage property owners in discussion about shoreline health, invasive species, and septic system concerns. The summer was filled with learning, relationship building, and efforts towards a more environmentally educated community. LakeSmart participation. Last year, the team delivered over 460 environmental resources, such as their dock kits through dock visits. They attended many events and connected with nearly 3,000 people, which is pretty cool. They documented concerns over water quality, invasive species, water levels, shoreline health, dock structures, and all things impacting the ecosystems and areas we come to enjoy. Moving forward, the Environment Committee will continue to prioritize finding new ways to expand and fund the program to ensure we continue to share information across the watershed and provide leadership in environmental stewardship. Headed into 2024, Lowdsa's Environment Committee is looking forward to new initiatives to build on the foundation of our LakeSmart program. We have officially hired a LakeSmart lead, as I mentioned earlier. The team also includes 5 members instead of 3 or 4 like we've had in the past. The goal of having a larger team is to grow our outreach in the community and basically to be in 2 places at once. Lowdsa will continue to be leaders in protecting against aquatic invasive species with the purchase of our own mobile boat wash station that will promote clean, drain, dry best practices. We are continuing the distribution of citizen science zebra mussel monitoring devices. And if you want to volunteer, please reach out to us. We would love to get as many kits as we can across the area. Dock talks will be focused this year in areas we've never been before on Lake of the Woods and secondary lakes around as well. Other educational and kids programming will also be continued. And of course, our staples like Meadow Waste Day and Seedling Day. If you are interested in having a say in any of the above, we encourage you to reach out to either meet the LakeSmart team and ask questions or to work with us by volunteering on the Environment Committee.
Thank you very much, Bree. That's pretty comprehensive, and what I like is how you describe how we're expanding our reach and trying to cover more areas with our teams. That's awesome. Now, Chris, it's your turn. I'd like to introduce you to Chris Semenchuk, the chair of our nominating committee. We'll now introduce the new person nominated as director.
Thanks, Garth. Okay, the following individual has been nominated as a director to serve a 2-year term, and that is Sean Campbell. Sean is an engineer at Sigfussen Northern with a background in northern and remote construction in northern and northwestern Ontario. And his background includes working in and with First Nation communities and government as it relates to construction and building products. He has a family cottage in the Lake of the Woods area and now also owns a cottage in Woodchuck Bay near Mud Portage. And he and his family spend time in the area all seasons, all 4 seasons. Sean is a member and a director of the Clearwater Bay Stewardship Association, and his areas of interest include the MNR Forestry Management Plan, Highway 17 twinning, and water quality on water lake levels. In addition to Sean, the following directors have agreed to serve another 2-year term on the board: Bob Stewart, Chelsea Lobson, Don Parfit, Jeff Rempel, and Trevor Templeton. So in conjunction with that, Alina will post a resolution, hopefully it works, In the resolution, electing directors should appear on your screen, moving that Bob Stewart, Chelsea Lowdsa, Don Parfit, Jeff Rempel, Trevor Templeton, and Sean Campbell be elected as directors of the association for a 2-year term. The resolution has been seconded by Bob Stewart. Please vote now. Okay, and I can't. Has everyone voted? I'm going to assume the motion has passed. And please exit from the voting poll. Thank you. And on the next slide, so there's our new director and our returning directors. And then the next slide has a list of all of our directors for the 2023 and 2024 Board of Directors. I won't list everybody, but we've included both everybody's name and where they're representing around our lake region. So welcome, Sean, to the Lowdsa board, and we welcome interest from any member to either join our board of directors or participate in one of our Lowdsa committees or even volunteering at a Lowdsa event. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Chris. There's lots of details there that you worked through for us. And welcome, Sean. Sean has already attended an environment committee meeting, and he's proven already to be a very valuable member. Next section is, as you see on your screen, question and answers. If you could use the Q&A tab to type a question or raise your hand by clicking the hand to already ask your question, that would be perfect. And in case I don't get the questions on my screen, maybe somebody could relay them to me. Or maybe we've done such a good job, there won't be any questions.
Spoke too soon. I have questions already.
Sure.
The first question is either for you, Garth, or for Dawn, and it's where can we find the 10-year plan for the forestry management?
Well, I have the website right here. Give me a second and I can read it out. It's not an easy one though.
Do you think you'll be able to send the link in the chat, and then maybe people can look at it that way?
I could try and do that. Give me a second, maybe proceed with the questions.
Sure.
Please.
The next question I have is, are the ELA tours children friendly? I can speak to that. I would say they're child friendly if maybe they're like 7 and up. It is a pretty, you're in a science lab, you're doing a lot of walking. It's a really cool experience and definitely family friendly. I'm not quite sure if you want to bring your young children though. And then we have a question for Mona. Do the new capital gains taxes apply to non-Canadians?
Yeah, so capital gains tax does apply to non-residents, yes. You're taxed on your world income from wherever you live, and there are tax treaties with countries like the United States and most of Europe. But you pay capital gains tax if you're non-resident and you sell a property in Canada, and then you probably will get some credit for that in the country where you actually have your permanent residence.
Perfect. Thanks, Mona. I hope that answers your question. If anyone else has a question, you're welcome to type it or to raise your hand to ask.
I posted the forestry website there.
Perfect, thank you. And if you have any questions come up later on, please feel free to shoot us an email or give us a phone call and we would be happy to answer. We have someone with a raised hand. Leslie, I'm just going to unmute you. You should be okay to talk.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
I wasn't able to put anything in the chat for some reason, so I just wanted to say hello. I'm just bringing greetings from FOCA. I'm Leslie, the new CEO at FOCA, and I just wasn't able to put in the chat and say hello to everybody. So thank you for inviting me to your meeting today. It's been very informative, and I look forward to having future discussions with you, Bree, in our new roles together.
That's awesome. Welcome to FOCA and also welcome to our AGM. We're happy to have you here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. That's awesome to have you with us this evening. So if there are no further questions, that wraps up 2024 AGM. But before we let you go, I just have some closing comments. As you've heard through the committee reports and the committee chairs, Lowdsa is the largest cottage association in Ontario. We're very active in supporting other associations, and we just heard from Leslie, who represents FOCA, the Federation of Ontario Cottagers Association. We have important relationships with the Experimental Lakes and Lake of the Woods Water Sustainability Foundation. And as you can see and heard tonight, that we are involved in so many ways. We're very, very busy. I want to point out that we are so much more than the Area News Magazine. And I think that's why it's great to have you with us tonight, so we can show you all the things that we're involved in. So you've heard about our programming, and you've been encouraged to join us. Our board and each committee meets 5 times a year. At each meeting, we strategize how best to sustain engagement, education, and environmental sustainability. We feel that we play a very important role when it comes to supporting the environment and the well-being of our beautiful watershed. I'd like to thank every member who joined us this evening. Your support is integral to our success. I'd also like to thank every single board member who volunteers their time and effort to make Lowdsa such an important piece of environmental action. Thank you to Bree and Alina for your great tech work leading up to and for this evening. Lastly, we look forward to seeing you at the farmers market, water, and hopefully on your docks. Take care and have a great long weekend.